Do you believe the price of XRP is suppressed no matter what groundbreaking news comes out? It wouldn't even move a needle. So absolutely, it is held down. And there's a couple reasons for that. And they're in alignment with the long-term benefit. Okay. I know it's frustrating here in the short term. Ripple actually does dump onto the market. They unlock $1 billion or $1 billion XRP every month. They take whatever allocation they need and re-escrow the rest. And they put that onto the market to hold price stability. And that's their mandate. They use it as a payment mechanism to settle payments. It needs to be fairly stable. If it has large fluctuations in value, there's going to be discrepancies in the payments they're settling.
Yeah.
So let's say you had $100 and you want to send that to Mexico and it lands over there and there was a move in the 3 or 4 seconds it took. If it moves just 1%, now it's $101 that landed over there. So I know people are disgruntled by that, but when the time comes, and I don't know when that's going to be, I don't have a crystal ball any more than anybody else, but I anticipate for it to fulfill the use case that they would like it to. And I anticipate it'll have to be a much higher stable price than what it is today. I do think it's suppressed. And there needs to be a delineation between Ripple, the company, and the news that comes out for that, and all the partnerships and everything, and the token itself. Because if those were correlated, then it would be a security of Ripple. And so they need to keep that separation. You can't have obviously there was a pump when we got the clarification that XRP was not a security in the eyes of the courts. We still don't have full regulation from Congress when they pass the stablecoin bill. I anticipate French Hill said that's coming Q1 this year, that hopefully that's the case. Then we will have actual congressional clarity around XRP. And then you should see implementation and adoption. What do you think, Vendel?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think they take these cases very slow, deliberately. I think they do that intentionally, okay, because they're all about buying time. Right now, everything is against them. And as you said previously, they're backed into a corner. So it only makes logical sense for them to really delay the process. But they got to keep it moving, but just move it slow. Because they can, if they want to go to war and invade a country, they can make that decision overnight. And that requires a lot of money, trillions of dollars, resources. But for something that's not in their best interest at the moment, they're going to take it real slow. But they could move quick on it if they wanted to. But
Trickle, flood, or moves. What was it? Things take decades to happen, and then decades happen in weeks, something like that.
yeah, that's so true. Yeah. And we see that.
We've got a few more questions here. When do you see 30 trillion coming in for Bitcoin? I think that the entire crypto market cap could be 30 trillion. I am hesitant to believe that will ever be the market cap for Bitcoin in particular. Would love to be wrong. I have clients that hold significant allocations to Bitcoin, but yeah, I'm hesitant to believe that 30 trillion will ever come into just Bitcoin in particular. I think the crypto market will definitely surpass that at some point in the future. When we were at Swell, Brad had stated that he thought within the next 5 to 10 years, we'd see a 10 to 100x on the crypto market cap. And it was around $1 trillion, 10 to 100 trillion is what Brad sees over the next 5 to 10 years. What do you think, Vendel?
Yeah, I could see that. 5 to 10 trillion I see in the next 2 years.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't see that in 5 to 10 years. No, we'll be probably 30 million or more, or all the cryptos will be wiped out and we'll have just like several that we operate on. And that would be the new system. That's realistic. But yeah, 5 to 10 trillion dollars is my projection from 2024 into 2026. That's my projection because right now we're about one something, right?
1.3, 1.4, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look historically, every time we have more adoption, the crypto market cap,
Yeah.
market cap increases substantially. But this cycle, it's a little different because now we have true mainstream adoption. So you can expect even more trillions to come into the market. See what I mean?
Yeah. If we do get the institutional adoption at scale, obviously they've had the introduction of the ETFs, which was a nothing burger,
Yeah.
but it worked for gold too. And people haven't made that correlation yet. We have seen a pretty significant rise in the value of gold after they introduced the GLD, but it went down. in the short term after they introduced it, and then over the next couple decades has gone up significantly. Maybe that's how it plays out for Bitcoin. It's yet to see. There's an interesting question here that I'm not even aware of. So maybe you are, and you could speak to this. He says, this gentleman says Charles Ward, who talks about the QFS.
Quantum financial system.
Yeah, it has said that JP Morgan might already be in Chapter 13 for its fiat business. It's at the level of bankruptcy for people that don't know. You have any insight on that? If they have such a huge allocation of silver, it's hard for me to believe that they're.
Yeah. Yeah. Charlie Ward, he's an interesting character. I think he's very intelligent. But I haven't seen too much of what he has to say, to be honest. But no, if anything, JP Morgan is going to wipe out every regional bank and they're going to be the last one standing because they were chosen, all right, by the cabal. They're backed by big money, big families, and yeah, they got the banking cartel mafia protecting them. I mean, that's the politicians in their pocket. That's what lobbying is. It's just pure corruption. The truth is, JP Morgan, I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
They'll find a loophole. Okay.
I'm with you. I don't anticipate that playing out that way. I'm going to talk about some coincidences here. You guys can come to your own conclusions on this. And
Like
I'm sure
6
some
months?
people, yeah. Got a super chat here. I just want to say, taking the opportunity to thank both y'all. Both have been pivotal in education, preparing people while we wait for the market crap. Hats off. Yeah, appreciate you, brother. So
That's very kind of him.
if you're not aware of the Titanic, do you know this story,
The
Vandal?
insurance scam
Aside from that,
by JP Morgan.
yes. So
Yeah, he
that's a
wasn't on
component
it.
of it.
They have a whole book on it.
The three wealthiest families that opposed the Federal Reserve
We're on
were
the
also on the Titanic when it
yeah.
sunk.
Yeah.
And JP Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic. Him and his assistant pulled out the day before.
Yeah. No coincidence.
Yeah. And they had the Olympic, which you're talking about for the insurance component of that, which boats have been notorious for insurance scams. But the Olympic was hit by a U.S. submarine. And the U.S. submarine, the U.S. government wouldn't claim fault. And so they wouldn't be able to put, they weren't able to get the insurance on it. And if you look at, there's some pictures of the next to the Titanic in the harbor, and they're like identical. Yeah. Anyway, and it just happened to be the same spot where the Olympic got hit that they hit the iceberg.
It was all set up.
Yeah.
There's too many coincidences that line up to where you have to be mentally blind if you can't just see the big picture. Seriously. There's wrong in your brain. There's too many coincidences that had to be planned. There's no way that's not planned because the universe doesn't work like that.
Yeah. And somebody's just posted the Titanic happened in 1912. And then sure enough, the Fed came about in 1913.
And then sure enough, they all died, the guys that were against it.
Jacob Astor and the two other families that opposed the Federal Reserve that would have had the capability to stop it from being formed.
Yeah. And then sure enough, they all got paid for the insurance.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then sure enough, they all won. They got what they wanted at the end.
Yeah. You talk about the corruption.
Good point you made. That's fantastic story, actually, but it's crazy.
Got Monica Powell with the U.S. Treasury note as our new currency. Could that mean JP Morgan be holding the silver back that the currency for the Treasury? So I'm sure you've been looking at the debt clock and all the pictures that have been coming on there. Mm-hmm. And we've got JFK represented on the gold-backed currency note that they've listed for the $10 bill on there a couple times.
Okay.
He was the last president that tried to remove the Federal Reserve and instate what's listed in our Constitution and reback our currency. He actually had notes issued and minted that were going to be put out. And then obviously he was removed.
Taken out. Yeah. That's how they do it. They did the same thing with Gaddafi. He was working on an African gold-backed currency to unite the nations over there. And they basically said, this guy is a humanitarian problem. The truth is, no, I actually lived there. I lived on that part of the world then.
Did you really?
That was not the case. I saw the real news. So I was in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia. Okay. I was in Bahrain. That's all nonsense. It was all lies. And then when I come to the US, here, everything I'm seeing is 100% different on TV than what's really happening over there. And it's not like I'm just watching both media channels. I'm coming from the zone.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there.
We-
Yeah, and they did that. Mhm.
What do you think about the current conflict that's going on in the Middle East? Is that exacerbated on the media here, or is it real? I don't know. And that's why I'm asking.
I haven't been to the Middle East in a while recently, but I can tell you that they're when they invade or step into wars overseas, okay, they are knocking out. You know how you kill two birds with one stone?
Yeah.
Okay. No, they're killing like 30 birds with one stone. They knock out so many agendas with one agenda. Okay.
Yeah. One action.
So, one action. Yeah. So there's a lot of things playing out, and the war is a perfect, not,
Scapegoat.
yeah, scapegoat, not just cover up, but it gives them the ability to create more money out of thin air. Okay. Yeah. Print money. Okay. That keeps the system going. Now they can do other activities that
Yeah.
we don't hear about. Okay. Now they have more leverage in the Middle East, which they've always wanted since day one. That's why we invade every nation in the Middle East. It's not just about resources, there's other reasons too. But yeah, they're doing a lot of nefarious activities. And when I say they, I'm talking about people have different names for these entities, but it's really the people pulling the strings, okay, that call the shots. And yeah, there's a lot of corruption going on, and they always want control in the Middle East and pretty much throughout all over the world. Because right now, the US dollar is really almost losing its reserve status. We're going, it's literally happening right before our eyes. So there's many reasons for it.
Do you think that the third world nations will be allowed to come up and then the level playing field that they discuss will actually exist? Do you think we'll be able to lift those people up and bring them to a level that's a higher standard of living when all of this over the next 3 to 5 years plays out?
Yeah, I think once things are going to get much worse before they get better. I believe that. I think we're at that stage in the cycle where we're about to go through that, or most people are. But when it comes up, when they come out of it, I feel like the system that they're preparing to put in place will have pros and cons.
Yeah.
So yes, I
Well, they
think
always do.
people will be able to have a better living situation because of a financial reset and restructuring of the system to some extent. This could even have a role for central bank digital currencies, and then AI creating more unemployment. If people are unemployed, they need to survive. How do you do that? You got to give them a central bank digital currency. But it will have its cons because now you're giving up your life, if you don't have financial sovereignty and control of your money, you're going to be poor for the rest of your life or stuck in the same boat because you can't save, you can't grow, and it's a
I
ongoing
think
cycle.
I think that's the paradigm people already exist in that they just aren't aware of.
Yeah.
The inflation is a tax on people, and
A hidden
it's
tax.
invisible. People don't realize that they're losing value year over year. I'll talk about my dad again. So he, again, big proponent, just put your money in the S&P 500, set it there, doubles every 7 years. You're good. You can retire when you're old. I'm not trying to retire when I'm old. I'm trying to retire a little bit sooner so I can enjoy it. But what I came to realize is actually that just holds the value of your capital. It stays up with inflation. You never actually get ahead
Yes.
investing in traditional markets,
Yes.
which is
Especially
great.
when you have a financial advisor. So you
Unless they're
got to
breaking.
commit 1%, 2%. I'm just kidding, but
Oh, no,
carry on.
well, we can get on that. So we have an RIA that we formed underneath family office. Okay. And I despise financial advisors that write people for fees and don't make them any money. And so the way we've structured things for us is over a certain allocation, you only take 50 basis points because you got to have something. You got to be able to pay your people and keep your lights on,
Absolutely.
pay the
Absolutely.
regulatory fees and all that. Like
You have a lot of value you're providing.
you do, but you should also be making people money. If
Yeah.
you're going to be managing their capital, there needs to be an aligned interest, right? Structured our stuff like a hedge fund. We take that small fee up front. It's all that we take. And then we don't make another dime until our clients make over 8% return on the year. So that's the hurdle rate. The high water mark is their previous portfolio balance from the previous year. And we don't take another dime. And then we split it 80-20 after that. And I'm hopeful that a lot of people moved that model long term because, yeah, raking 2% fees on people's portfolio and them being down, you're just stealing from them.
Yeah. It's unethical.
Yeah. And again, I understand you got your compliance and your regulatory.
And real inflation, okay, cost of your food, your groceries, your rent, your water, really the most important, which are excluded in core inflation.
From the CPI. Yeah.
Yeah, CPI. Your real things that you need to survive. They went up 30%, actually more, but that's a conservative figure. Your $100,000 sitting in the bank, okay, today has now lost 30% of its buying power, probably even more, depending what you buy with that. So your 100,000 is really going to buy you $70,000 worth of goods. Okay. And as they continue to create money out of thin air and devalue your fiat currency, making your buying power weaker, that buying power is going to continue to go down. So that's why your $100,000 is probably going to almost get you half of what it could buy you, and even less because they're going to continue to print money in 2024 and 2025. And as they print money, it hurts the little guy who has money in the bank, but it actually benefits people that own assets because the cost of assets go up. So our assets will go up, which means we're making money. But the people that don't own assets, they're losing.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying about the S&P. It just holds with the same level of inflation over time. So the average deflationary rate of technology over the last 2 decades has been 7% a year. Okay. So as things have progressed in efficiencies within manufacturing and across the economy, you've got the internet, you've got communication that moves faster. There's a lot of things that have progressed over the last 20 years that actually should have caused about 7% worth of deflation each year. Like your stuff should have gotten 7% cheap every year. But because the Fed prints the money and their mandate is 2%, and the reason that they stayed as 2% is because previous, when they actually had it backed by gold, you could mine about 2% of the gold supply per year and add that, right? So that's what they wanted the inflation to be. And then that would actually be backed. But so they're actually having to inflate the currency by 9% a year to maintain their 2% mandate.
Exactly. Yeah.
And and wages haven't kept up, but that's the other piece of this that is causing such a problem for millennials right now is that wage growth has been like, I think 10% since 2000, but the money supply has exploded.
Yeah.
And if you were making $100,000 in the 90s, you were doing good, man. Your wife didn't have to work. You could pay for your home. You could pay for a vehicle. You had all your insurance paid. You could have some money left over to invest. You're going on vacations.
Now it's like you're making 45 grand.
Yeah.
Or less.
In comparison to then, right?
Yeah.
I remember going to the store with my family and we would go like every 2 weeks and my dad would spend $300 on groceries and we would get 2 full shopping carts.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Worth of groceries. Like over the top stuff hanging off the sides, stuff underneath. And now I go to the store and I get like 5 bags and it's $100.
Yeah. And depending what you get, sometimes it's 1 bag.
Get coffee. If you're getting K-cups, those are $20 a piece for the package.
It's crazy. It really is.
But anyway, and that's difficult for people to understand. I see, especially older people at the store and no refills. That's good.
No refills. Yeah. That's funny.
And they live on a fixed income. My mom, she worked as a teacher. She has a pension fund. She gets her Social Security. And her excuse to me all the time is I'm on a fixed income, which she deserves all those things. She worked for a long time and put up with a lot of BS from kids. But if you're on a fixed income and it's not dynamic, you're going to get squeezed because again, inflation is going to continue to eat away at your purchasing power. What do you think
Yeah.
happens to Social Security, man? What's your take on that?
I think there's a lot of risk in that. Actually, we talked to Robert Kiyosaki about that, and there's a lot of risk because if the market crashes because it's extremely overvalued, a liquidity crisis can happen. It can really destroy Social Security for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It can have a significant impact in their real life in the world. And there's a lot of people on Social Security. So, yes, it could have a ripple effect. And yeah, it would not be good. You got to be
So,
very, go ahead.
yeah, if you're betting on Social Security, I wouldn't make that bet, even if you're close.
Not now, not this time. No.
But they're going to have to make good on that promise for people. People have paid in their whole lives. And that's why I think with a significant deflationary event, if we have the implementation of these other technologies, they will be able to print money in opposition to that. And then you could hold price stability for people and dole out money as needed and make good on those promises. I know that's not the narrative that people want to hear.
But yeah.
But this is the other thing. People talk about Nasara Jasara and wiping all these debts and like restructuring. And that's really what this is going to be. And that's why BlackRock is such a large player, is because they are the best in the world at restructuring debt. But if you wiped out all the debt and just paid, you just magically wiped it away. Okay. Pension funds, all of these people that are banking on those payments, because this is what people don't realize. These home loans and business loans and all these things that banks create, they bundle those up. And who do they sell those to? The pension funds and other people that have to make monthly payments. And they pay a depreciated cash flow. They depreciate the cash flows back to current value. And that's what they pay for those collateralized debt obligations that are packaged up. And again, BlackRock and they take a lot of good debts and they stick some bad debts with it. So the whole thing doesn't default. And that's how they've pushed this out as long as they have. But now we're really in a fragile spot where we've hiked interest rates and nobody can refinance. And that's why you're seeing a lot of distressed properties and businesses go under right now. The people that can make it, we talked about earlier, I think they're going to pivot and come back down a little bit.
Yeah, I think they are. And because it's destroying the economy, really. From a perspective of, okay, as interest rates are high, okay, let's say you need a new car, all right? Inflation is already high, so you're pretty much left with, you're very tight on money. Now, you're not going to want to pay a high interest rate. Your monthly payment on your car would be too much, so you're not going to get that car. And actually, I'm keeping up with car inventory, and new inventory is actually sitting on the market for longer than it has in the past few years. They're struggling right now, new cars, okay? And some manufacturers are actually halting manufacturing on the newer vehicles for 2024 and 2025. Housing, people, they take out mortgage, interest rates are high, okay? I discovered that it's been happening for a while now, but mortgage applications are on decline, okay? There's less people.
And afford it.
Yeah, they're like, I can't afford it, or I'm just going to wait until interest rates come down so I can afford it. And that's affecting builders and inventory on the market. And it's so they're going to have to lower interest rates to fix things. And
Well, here's the
business
antithesis
loans,
of that. Like, if they lower interest rates again, we're going to see a bull market in all those assets. And so property values really haven't adjusted as much as they needed to really make that meaningful for them to drop rates and people to be able to afford things again. I think we'll probably get another bull market in real estate. I'm starting to see hedge funds and institutional players start to come back in the market and make offers on things where they've been on the sideline since about June or July of 21. So that tells me that they think that the bottom's in, which is interesting. If people are waiting on lower real estate prices, I'm hesitant to believe that's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I'm in the market for a new home too. I would like them to come back down also, interest rates and prices. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I hope that they pass the legislation that removes BlackRock and the other large institutions' ability to come in and purchase single family, because that has driven the price up.
oh
And
yeah,
obviously they want to maintain those values because they purchased them high. They paid cash. And if they don't maintain that value, then they're going to have unrealized losses on their books.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. And another data point that I want to bring up, and there's the data to back this up, that I discovered from an expert. There is an abundant supply of inventory of homes on the market, but only for people that have more money. But there's not enough supply for the average income earner. Okay. That's the problem right there. There's
Well,
enough for the rich and the wealthy people, but not enough for your average person and family to go buy a home. They can't afford it.
no, and you're going to continue to see manufactured homes, and these 3D printed homes, I think, is going to be huge
Oh
because
yeah.
that
And
reduces cost by one third and the production time also by a similar amount, right?
yeah.